The 2025 Week 5 AP poll just dropped, and there are some big problems with it. Now, this poll is better than it has been in previous weeks, but there still are some big problems. Let's talk about them. Now, my first and biggest issue with the poll is Oklahoma at 7 and Auburn unranked. Are you going to tell me that the number 7 team in the country beats an unranked team by 7? By a possession? Of course not. Auburn should not have been moved down, or Oklahoma should have been moved down. There needs to be a closer gap between the 7th ranked team and the team they beat by 1 possession. A smaller gap, a much smaller gap. That is 4 or 5 spots in the poll. You could even argue that's a 7 and an 8 right there. And I'm not saying that Auburn deserves to be ranked 8. And I'm not saying that Oklahoma hasn't done enough to give a 7, but they need to be closer when they just played a 1-possession game. And not only was it a 1-score game, the refs got a call wrong that led to an Oklahoma touchdown. So you take that out of the equation, they interpret that rule right. That's a tied game going to overtime. That is not a 7th and an unranked team right there. And both teams looked very good in that game. It was a close game. It's not like Oklahoma was leaving points out there or was dominating the game and just not finding a way to score. No, they looked like 2 evenly matched teams. And we saw this same exact thing in last week's poll. Georgia, Tennessee goes to overtime. Tennessee should have won it in regulation. 2 very evenly matched teams that I think could play each other in a rematch in the conference championship game. But what do? You move Georgia to 4, but you keep Tennessee, the team that just took the team you moved to 4th to overtime, at 15. That doesn't make sense. Going into that game, Georgia was ranked 6th and Tennessee was ranked 15th. And the 6th best team in the country should beat the 15th best team in the country by more than an overtime win. Tennessee is a better team than the 15th ranked team, but the poll won't move them up because they lost. And they don't want to admit that they're a better team than they gave them credit for. And the same thing goes for Oklahoma and Auburn. Auburn loses by 7 in a 1-possession game on the road. Auburn should not be moving down. And for the next problem, let's go to the top of the poll. Number 3, number 4, Penn State, LSU. What have either of those 2 schools done? What have either of those 2 teams done to prove this year that they are the 3rd and the 4th ranked teams in the country? Not a lot. Penn State, 46-11 win over Nevada, 34-0 win over FIU, and 52-6 win against FCS Villanova. Have they really proven that they are a top 4 team this year? No. So what do you rank them on? Last year? Congratulations. That's last year. This year, 2025, they haven't done anything, and there are other more deserving teams like Georgia who could be ranked higher. And don't get me started on LSU. A 17-10 win against Clemson. 1-3 Clemson, who has lost to Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Syracuse, who played them better than LSU did. A 23-7 win against juggernaut Louisiana Tech. A 20-10 win against Florida when DJ Lagway and Florida gifted them 5 interceptions. You score 20 points on 5 interceptions, you are not a top 4 team. That is, you're winning the turnover battle, but you're not doing anything with it. What's the point of even winning the turnover battle at that point? And then beating up on FCS Southeast Louisiana 56-10. Not the number 4 team in the country. And what about Iowa State at 14? What have they done? Iowa State beat Kansas State 24-21. 1-3 Kansas State. They beat South Dakota 55-7. They beat Iowa 16-13. Iowa, who still hasn't figured out the forward pass. They're still working on it up there. And then Arkansas State 24-16. 24-16, but they sure are the 14th best team in the country. The AP poll has a problem, and the problem is that voters do not want to admit they were wrong on teams. That's why it took Clemson so long to move down when they weren't looking like a good football team. It's why Penn State and LSU are still this high when they haven't looked particularly good because they ranked them high in the preseason, and they can't admit they were wrong in the preseason. Now, I know, at the end of the day, the AP poll really isn't the biggest thing. It doesn't really matter anymore. The college football rankings will come out and replace them, and I understand that. But right now, when this is what we have to go off of, this is what recruits are looking at, this is what fans are looking at, it needs to be better. Let me know in the comments if you like the AP poll, if you have a better solution, because there's plenty of better solutions out there, and I know that you have one. Let Let me know in the comments. And if you like college football, you like college football content coming across on your page, hit the like button, subscribe, all of that.